This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is DG.
Yeah, my question, like, the thing is, a monolingual individual is actually criticizing. No, it's true. A bilingual or trilingual linguist. Isn't that funny? Like,
It is.
of course, Americans should be proficient and without accent because this is their main language.
But there's still, wait. So right now,
Uh-huh.
if you drive 3 hours north, I think it's north, right, Connie? Get to Boston?
Yes,
Yeah, north gets the Boston.
northeast.
I'd
Northeast?
say so.
Okay. So if you go to Boston, the
Mhm.
accent changes. There's no R
Yes,
there.
yes,
You want to come sit
yes,
in my
but it's
car.
still, no, I think
So there are
in
accents. That's what I wanted
yes.
to say.
No, I believe that what I meant is not the regional accents here in America. It's like, because even if you're from the South or like you have the California accent and everything, it's still called the Native American accent. However, my thing is there should be nothing wrong. I believe like Americans should not criticize a foreigner for having like an accent in the American language, because if we ask Americans to, say for example, learn my local what's this language, Tagalog, there would be an accent too. So it's impossible unless if you migrate here at a certain age, like teens, then you can still get the, that's as per the studies, scientific studies, you can still get the local accent. But for me, for me, for example, I would not be criticizing an American who has like an accent speaking my local Tagalog language, because that's normal. You really cannot go down to that level of the local accent unless you migrate at a certain age. So I don't think that
Sure.
someone should be very critical or like make fun of that, because hey, we're speaking two languages or even three. Because like me, I grew up in the province. We have another language, and it's very what's this? It's a skill that not everyone can do that, right? So I think Americans should be less critical of foreigners speaking with accents.
I think there's a reason to that. And I think I'll add to the term American. Why? Because, first of all, let's talk about outskirts of New York City. People who come from African American background, they were born here.
Mm-hmm.
They have a distinct accent,
Mm-hmm.
speech rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Hispanics,
Yes, yeah. Even if
they have the same
yeah.
thing,
Mhm.
right? And right away you would know.
Identifiable, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're talking about maybe white supremacists, because they got this idea from somewhere that they are the standard. They are the norm. Why I said that Jesus is white? Because that's the way the Jesus should be. It's not about how he was
Mm-hmm.
in his context. That's the way Jesus should be. And then a lot of people would believe that's the way Jesus is.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody set that
Yes,
trend
standards,
or
yes,
standard
the
or norm.
facial, yeah.
The same thing, standard with beauty. Why
Definitely.
can't a darker person be beautiful? I've seen like great charismatic people.
Yes, yeah. I actually,
Obama is such a
Yes,
charismatic
yeah,
man,
yeah.
right?
I actually grew up like that, just to be honest with you, just because, the Philippines, we were under the colony of Spain. So in our eyes, the white or whoever is like whiter in complexion is always like favored.
boss.
Yeah, favored more. And interestingly, like with my mom was half white. So Filipina mom, and then white. What's this? So my maternal grandfather was white. He was Spanish English. So really very white features. Unfortunately, my mom and the siblings got more what's this looks from my grandma. And during like reunions with cousins, at a very young age, she already experienced discrimination. She would hear the relatives saying, "Oh, they look like Indio." Indio is like a very derogatory term for like you're the local Indians or whatever in the Philippines. Like, so it's always it, and it has always been like that. And my mom shared that with us. And unfortunately, I did not get the features of my white grandfather. Actually, my looks and everything, I got this from my Filipino father, who happens to have like Aboriginal blood. I'm part Igorot. So that's like in the mountains, like, But
But you're very cosmopolitan, right? You could
I don't know,
be.
this is makeup. Thank you, makeup.
Oh, great. I think you can, like, yeah.
Of course.
You can confuse me. And you can even say you're from Spain. I would trust you.
No. My flat nose. I gotta do some more like this.
Well, I mean,
Thank you. Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know if.
Yes, but that's how we grew up. And you know what? When I was growing up, oh my gosh, I would get this insults from my classmates saying like my elbows are like dark and my knees. I've been telling you about like I was a drum and bugle corps member, but they were like, oh my gosh, my knees are super dark and black and everything. Oh my gosh, and with scars on top of that. But what I mean to say, imagine that we were like so concerned about very trivial stuff, my color and like my black. Of course, this will be dark because I'm the elbows and everything like these kinds of joints are like darker color than the rest of the skin. But and then I grew so, of course, being a teenager, I grew so pressured, and I was buying this Chinese cream, putting them on, and well, they worked. The thing is, I was just putting them on here, and I forgot about my neck. So I ended up after months. Oh my gosh, I have shiny, nice skin, white skin, and then oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. In fact, like when I passed the board exam in the Philippines and it was my oath taking, unfortunately, I had chicken pox, so I had all the scars in the world. Oh my gosh, I put that cream again just to appear white because I told you it's superior white. And oh my gosh, I got this really, oh my God, I'm glad I did not keep any pictures of, because my whole face was white while the rest of my body was like brown. But, and in the, say for example, in the Philippines, I go to a casting. Say for example, like this building here, at this floor, one room has like for detergent, and then the other one is for like for toothpaste. Okay, so and then there's the what's this, receptionist there. Hey, you're here for casting. They would immediately assume because of my color, because of my height, that I'm actually auditioning for the detergent brand rather than the toothpaste brand. So that's very interesting because you're always typified as like the lower class. In casting, what's this? How do you call that? In casting ads, they would looking for like class A. Class A is like you're white. I'm not kidding, really. You're white. You're not class A. So I'm not, I was never considered class A, although I've ended up doing some commercials for skincare and then toothpaste, that kind of toothpaste, top toothpaste brand. However, I would always be typified as like the laundry girl, as like the
working class,
super
working mom.
And I got a lot of roles thanks to my color.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it is sad because they would never see the beauty in you as, oh hey, we're local, we're Filipinos, we're brown, we're considered a brown race, even if we have like some Spanish or like some mixed what's this thing because of all the intermarriages. However, we're considered brown Asians, and which actually is more difficult to like land the jobs as an Asian because you're not the typical. Because when you say Asian, as I told you, you're like,
yes,
okay,
Japanese.
Looking for like Asians. Asians, you would think, okay, chinky eyed, so you're like either Japanese, Chinese, or something, or
Korean. Yeah.
India is also, although you always say South Asian, but okay, Asian, but very rarely can you find really like brown skin, a little bit bigger eyes to be like Asian. So unfortunately, you don't qualify in their thoughts of like being the castable type for
the standard.
Asian.
Something, let me tell you something interesting I learned from a couple I was friends with in Illinois. And they were of the Filipino background.
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman, Steve told me when his grandfather moved to the US. And whatever document I forgot, whether it was the birth certificate or citizenship certificate, his race was written as black.
Oh.
And he said because at that time in the US, they only knew black and white.
Oh.
So they said, okay, he's black because he's not white.
Yes.
They did not have any other skin tone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this brown idea is also, as I mentioned, that the norm has been white
Mm-hmm.
than African Americans. But where to fit you is a challenge for the media.
Yes, definitely.
Right. And
Especially
fit you in a powerful role or in a respectful role.
Yeah.
Whereas something very interesting I notice currently, okay, politics. The president's wife is not white. The vice president's wife is not white.
She's still white, right? The how do you call this? The president's wife. Melania is white.
No, I mean, does she qualify to be white?
Yes, yeah. She's
Why?
Caucasian.
Because she has light
No, she's
skin?
Caucasian. Yeah. So
Who's
she's
Caucasian?
Melania.
No. I mean, by definition, the Caucasian means totally, because I learned this from a middle schooler, which is so funny. She said, by race, you are Caucasian. Although, look, okay, I don't know.
Yes, actually, yeah. Even like Middle Easterns, they're considered like Caucasians.
I don't think
Like
here
the-
in the US.
It is, should be, right? Because under the classification, yeah. Middle
No, if
Eastern
I write white, then they will say, oh.
Caucasians.
Hey. So no, we're just foreigner, let's say foreigner. Or someone who was not born in the U.S. and has accent, because that has been your struggle too in booking jobs. So, but and all some of our lead well celebrated actors like Matt Damon's wife is not, I think, white Caucasian. Matthew McConaughey's wife is not white.
They're Hispanics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think both of them,
So, my point is that
white Hispanic.
can you, and we also have this issue now, can you fall in love with somebody who is of a different race? And people who start thinking here, they make sure it doesn't happen.
Well, there are still some, I think, congregations, like, I don't know, probably because they belong to certain churches or groups that do not promote intermarriages, that they want to preserve that kind of like supremacy and their whiteness. Or
I want to have a guest here actually, and actually the guest will reach out to me twice, and I wasn't able to talk to them for a month. I talked to them last night, and if they come, I wanted them to share. Particularly, something stood out to me that they were trained to think about relationship and dating and everything from here rather than here, and then what happened, what's the result, right? Which you can freely fall in love. And that's the thing. I say a lot of us live in a time or culture where we are emotionally numb because you are so scared, and right away, especially for men. A man thinks if I get married and God forbid it does not work out, I'm going to lose my house and car and my paycheck.
Yeah, there's, oh my gosh. I don't know. It's super complicated how like one can lose almost half of what.
I think it's unfair.
Yeah, of
because
course.
the thing is, this is not the time where women don't do anything or they are not working. And back in the day, say 2,000 years ago, women had no identity.
Yes, then
No
you
rights.
really need that kind of support. Yes, and it's sad because like now, because of all this material something, there are deaths because of like killing the spouse or the partners because of monetary
Mm.
incentives. So it's sad that the world really revolves more on the monetary side of monetary.
But are you okay with that? Because you come from that back. That's why I wanted to ask. Like when growing up, what was the most important thing? I understand what was taught by the nuns, but what was the most important thing taught at home? That's more important to live a healthy life.
I couldn't really specify just like one, but it's like love for the family. It's like support. So, because in my experience, no matter what happens to you, compared to friends, it would really be the family who would stand for you. That is at least in my
To be
experience. Because
closer to the family. That was
yes,
something
and
you-
yes, and be like before being giving to other people, you need to what's this? Charity begins at home, and there's so much goodness to it. And yeah, because at the end of the day, yeah, I've had experiences like where I grew up with, like, say for example, from preschool, or I mean from grade school or like high school friends who unfortunately I lost because, say for example, if I'm not rich, so if I lend you money, I'm still I know, like, I was told that okay, if you lend someone money, forget about it. But I think it is also unfair because I'm not rich. I really work hard, even like coming here and everything, passing the board exam and everything. I did not tell my parents that I was actually taking the sit for the national exam here. I saved it up until I could afford it without asking help from them, without bothering them, and then went here. So my point is, if you say, "Oh, I really need this and like that," and then I see them like, "Oh, just buying this and that," and it hurts me that. And then, say for example, I'm gonna pay this for like after a month. Okay, after a month, nothing yet. I'm going to remind them on the second month. Okay, nothing yet. Oh, please understand. Like every single bit of excuses that they can find, they will give it to you. But when they were like borrowing, oh, I promised to pay it right away. So it's kind of, I lost like at least two or no, three, four friends because of like when I help them out and everything. And it's, I gotta also think of myself. I gotta use this up and everything. They disappear or they block you. And the thing is, why would it bothers me that mostly these friends of mine are mostly Catholic, God fearing. Give to Caesar what is Caesar, and then to God what is God's. But for me, in that comparison to God is like the electricity or like Wi-Fi service or whatever, or the IRS. If the IRS ask us, hey, pay us back this money or pay us this money, or the bank, we will immediately give it to them because otherwise there's going to be an interest for that. And these are big corporations. So why would you think that if a friend of yours lent you money and you have some means now, because like one example is like a friend of mine, like they own like a hotel now. And I'm like, wait a minute, can you not ask from it's a family business. Can you not ask? Can you not help your like this sibling to pay me back whatever? And we even so it just disappoints me. So going back to that, after all that experiences, for me the safest haven is still with a family. So yes, I love my family the most, and that is, I think, the most important virtue that I've learned, family love. And of course, with all the experiences afterwards, that really just buttresses my opinion that that is the most important thing. That's why I could not understand why, I watch a lot of documentaries about like killings and everything. I'm like Dateline kind of girl. Like, do you watch those stuff?
No.
Oh my god! And then they kill.
Not anymore, because that drives me crazy.
Oh my gosh! So much so to like chop them up and everything. That is unfathomable for me that you can do that to like a loved one, more so like a family. Like, just because you need the money. What is the value of money if you don't have anything to share that with. And with the technology right now, more or less you're gonna be caught, or it's gonna catch up with you, I think, eventually, if you're keeping that kind of like bad, except if you're like a pathology, if you have some kind of you're a psycho, then you don't feel that kind of empathy, then it would not really affect you that much. However, I just don't think that it's worth it to kill someone just for monetary rewards. So